live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and blasttheradio.com. This is The Lowell Green Show. The number to call and be heard around the world is 613-413-2217. Or email Lowell at blasttheradio.com. And now, here is Lowell Green.
John, there's a fact that I forgot to mention yesterday, and in light of this latest development, these LRT trains aren't even safe in the maintenance yard. You see that two of them collided yesterday in the maintenance yard.
Outrageous.
Oh my God! So I've done a little bit more fact checking.
Okay.
Do you know? And as far as I can determine, and I spent a lot of time checking this out, our LRT has now been down for over 50 years. 50 years.
I believe that.
How about 50 days?
I believe, I'm more inclined to believe 50 years, Lowell.
50 days, which is a longer period of time. And so in 2 years, our LRT has been down longer than the Montreal Metro has been down in 54 years.
There you go.
Montreal Metro, largely completed 1967 for Expo 67. As best I can find out, the entire system has never been totally shut down in 54 years. There have been sections on one occasion, somebody got on the track, I guess, trying to commit suicide or something. It stopped the system for about 20, 25, 30 minutes. On another occasion, I'm not sure the date, but there was a brief stop, about an hour, right after the rush hour for an electrical problem. But as best I can determine, and I went right to the officials in Montreal, and they could not recall any time since the birth of Montreal Metro that it has been shut down totally. So the fact is, even it's been shut down a little bit, which I wasn't able to track down. The fact is that in 2 years, Ottawa's LRT has been shut down longer than Montreal's Metro has been shut down in 54 years. And by the way, I found out something else. Do you know that the Montreal Metro carries more passengers than any other subway in North America, with the exception of New York City? Only New York City carries more daily passengers than the Montreal Metro. 54 years in Montreal, nary a problem. 2 years in Ottawa, we can't get the damn thing to work, even in the maintenance yard. Ay, tickle my fanny. What the hell is the matter here? Don't answer that question. I'm afraid of the answer here. Now, I have another interesting fact. Something very interesting is happening in Ontario right now, and I just want to make sure I get these figures correct, okay? As of 1 o'clock, that's just an hour ago, 1 o'clock this afternoon, the province of Ontario was burning 15,294 megawatts of power. That's about standard for this time of year, this kind of weather. Of that, so don't forget, there's 15,294 megawatts. Wind, 42 wind farms, $38 billion it's cost us. Right now, wind is producing 65 megawatts. Now, it's been that low many times before, but let me tell you what's really interesting. Biofuel, energy from waste incineration, waste to energy. As far as I can determine, there are only 2 high-efficiency waste-to-energy incinerators in Ontario, one in Toronto or just north of Toronto, and the other just to the east of Toronto. So right now, get this, folks. Right now, we are producing in Ontario, or at least at 1 o'clock, we are producing more electricity from 2 incinerators burning our garbage than we are from 54 wind farms. It's, to my knowledge, I don't think this has happened before. There's always power being produced, biofuel power. But as far as I can recall, this is the first time, or one of the rare times, when in fact we're producing more power from burning our garbage than we are from 42 wind farms. It's quite astonishing. On another topic, this really is my main topic because I'm getting fed up. I don't know about you. Getting fed up with Aaron O'Toole. Okay, well, what the hell is wrong with Aaron O'Toole? What's wrong with this guy? Why can't he grow a pair, a big pair, and tell his caucus members either get vaccinated or get the hell out of the party? What's wrong? Why can't he say that? This pussyfooting around on the vaccine issue during the campaign, I am convinced, cost the Conservatives the election. And I'm not the only one who believes that. His wishy-washy stance on this, I think, turned a lot of people off, including me. I still voted. I mean, I'm not going to vote for Trudeau. I'd sooner slit my throat than vote for him. But the fact of the matter is that it turned off a lot of people. And now this whole thing continues to grow. And Trudeau is just jumping all over it. The whole thing is so dumb, so stupid. In fact, it's concentrated stupidity. Jumping, Jesus. Can't you people in the Conservative Party get anything right? God, I mean, it's so simple. Tell the caucus members. One of the problems we've got is we don't know how many Conservative caucus members are not vaccinated. So it reflects as a shadow over the entire party. As a matter of fact, it throws a shadow all Conservatives because it fits the stereotype of the Conservative as this anti-science, anti-progressive, anti-vax idiot, okay? Which is nothing could be further from the truth. But that's the stereotype that it feeds, and Trudeau and his Liberals and the NDP are jumping all over it. It is so stupid. You have the authority, Aaron O'Toole. Use the authority. Doug Ford wasn't afraid to use his authority. When he had one member of his caucus that refused to get vaccinated, he said, take a hike out of the party. You've got the authority. There's 9 words, either get vaccinated or take the road. That means 8 or 9 words, whatever the hell it is. The fact of the matter is, and anybody with a brain, anybody with a half a brain, anybody with 3/4 of the brain strapped behind their back knows that about 90% of the population of this country supports vaccinations, wants us to get vaccinated so that we can get the hell out of this terrible pandemic, we can get everything wide open, etc., etc., etc. About 90% of the population, in fact, over 80% of the population thinks that vaccination should be mandatory. So, everybody knows this. We also know that there are a few misguided, I don't know, I don't even have words to do. There are a few people that still don't think we should get vaccinated, despite 2 years of vaccination, the proof that it works. It's not perfect. It's not perfect. Nothing's perfect. I mean, if you're perfect, please give me a call. I'd love to talk to you and find out how you manage it. But it's the best, by far, the best weapon we have to fight this pandemic, and we all know it. At least anybody with half or quarter or even, 20% of a brain knows it. So why is he pussyfooting around? He refuses to tell us how many members of his caucus, and now he's got a couple of members, some idiot members of his caucus, Gladue or whatever the hell her name is, starting this little rump. Oh, we're going to have the unvaccinated rump party here of the Conservative Party. For God's sake. You know what? Take a slingshot out and let them have it right in the ass. Get them out of there. Either get vaccinated or take a hike. It's just mind-boggling that Aaron O'Toole is allowing this stupid issue to drag his party and Conservatives down. Look, there are many of us, and I am one, who have fought on behalf of the Conservative Party for many years, contributed a good many hours of work, dedication, and money. And you're screwing it up because you don't have the guts, the balls to tell your members to get vaccinated? Jumping, Jesus. That's it. Be a man. Come on, O'Toole, be a man. You've got the authority. Lay down the law. Either get vaccinated or find another party. As I say, Doug Ford was not afraid. You know what? Maybe you could give Doug Ford a call and ask if you can borrow a little bit of his testosterone. Be a man, for God's sake. Do your job. You know what? It's all very. It's nice to be nice. Apparently, Aaron O'Toole thinks that he's being really nice to these few recalcitrant members. Well, you may be being nice to them, but you're not being nice to the country, and you're not being nice to conservatives, people who have dedicated a lot to the party. You know what, Aaron O'Toole, either do your job or step aside. Okay, if you can't do it, if you don't have the guts to tell your members to get vaccinated, then you know what? Find somebody else. I'm sure that there are other members of the party. Hell's bells, I'll volunteer to do it. You know what, John? You wouldn't. You if you were leader of the party, would you go in and tell them to get vaccinated or take the highway? I hope you would.
100%. I mean, it's about leadership, and there is absolutely zero leadership being exhibited here right now. And I can't help but think, Lowell, and I'm interested in your thoughts on this. Is he seeing the numbers from the CPP, from Max Bernier's party? And is he thinking, if I can just play to that a little bit, then maybe down the road I have a chance? Is that his thinking? Does that play into it at all?
God knows. I mean, you know what? If you're voting for Max Bernier, you're just a freaking idiot. I mean, you're just and you're not gonna. You're so stupid that you're not gonna change. I mean, you're in love with Max. He's the big rebel. You want to be the rebel. So the 3 or 4 or 5%. Um, they're not going to change. Forget about them. I mean, it's just ridiculous. But you know what? On top of everything else, do the right thing. Everybody should be vaccinated. Anybody with a brain, quarter brain, 20%, 15% of a brain knows you should get vaccinated. So do the right thing. This is what people of this country want. This is what people in this country need. And that's what these people and the people in this country know. This is the way out. Whatever. Stop playing politics. Just do your job. Do what's right. For a freaking change, have a politician do what's right. Just for once. Agree or disagree, folks? Any comments coming in on this?
Absolutely. Chrissy just chimed in to say, setting a great example if you're vaccinated shows it cares for your country and fellow humans. Carrie and Tom say, greetings from I-95 in South Carolina. They're listening while they drive down the States. How cool is that?
Hey, Tom and Carrie, good for you.
Gina says the conservatives are their own worst enemy. Too many split the party with their own agendas. Lisa says, I never liked O'Toole, and I say Pierre Poilievre needs to step up and be the leader. Aaron O'Toole should tell them to get vaccinated.
Let me just stop there.
Yep.
I know Pierre, and I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I know him well enough that if he was leader of the party, first of all, this would never have occurred. He would have made it very plain from day one when he assumed leadership. You get yourself vaccinated, or if you don't want to, then join another party or just get lost. It would take Pierre. You know how long it would take Pierre Poilievre to make that decision?
A millisecond.
A millisecond. Yeah, I was going to say a second, but I'll give you a millisecond. I mean, you know what? Anybody with balls would do this. And yep. I mean, you know what? I've always supported O'Toole. I've encouraged people to give him a chance. Well, we've had a chance, and he doesn't seem to be able to step up to the bat. Go ahead. Any more texts coming in here?
I just find, once again, O'Toole is silent on so many things. It's really astonishing. O'Toole is a doctor. No, does he not realize how bad he looks? Kick O'Toole out. We do not want him, says Kim on Facebook. Another Kim on Facebook says, if we had a stronger leader at the helm of the Conservative Party, we would have won this last election. And Tammy says, amen. Pierre Poilievre would save this country. Michael is on Facebook. I believe this is the first time we've got a comment from you, Michael. Welcome to the show. Many conservative supporters are disappointed in O'Toole, he says. We do have an email from Rob at Carlton Place. Thank you. It's Lowell at blasttheradio.com. Rob says, I'm with you, Lowell. If O'Toole can't deal with a small issue like this, then step aside. A leader of a party is supposed to lead. This is not even a difficult issue. Apparently, Trudeau is having a good laugh. So frustrating. Come on, conservatives.
Couldn't agree more. Now, just to add insult to injury, give us something more to worry about, I have inside information on this. Excuse me. Once in a while, my information is not correct, but usually it is. Within a few days, we are going to see some form of a formal agreement between Justin Trudeau's NDP party and Jagmeet Singh's NDP party,
I believe it.
because there's very little to distinguish between the two parties now. So whether they're going to call it the Liberal Party or the Liberal NDP or the NDP or just the NDP, I don't know. But it will be an extreme left-wing socialist party that will do everything it can to erase capitalism, to erase free enterprise in this country, and we'll probably be stuck with it for 4 years. I I just shudder to think of where we're headed here. Another 4 years of going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into debt. I didn't get a chance to say this yesterday, but we all know that interest rates are going to go up very soon, probably within the next month or two. And when they do, of course, then the interest payments on national and provincial debts will go up. Right now, the combination of provincial and federal debt is costing us about $50 billion a year in interest. That's money taken from ordinary taxpayers and given to rich people, rich corporations, people who've got enough money to loan governments money. So when the interest rates goes up, it will not, folks, it will not be long. Remember where you heard it first. It will not be long until we are paying out in interest to rich people and rich corporations $1 billion every single week. And with an NDP coalition, it's probably going to get worse than that. Just going to remind you, that's $1 billion a week we don't have for health care, for education, for roads, for homeless, or for the indigenous. 1 billion, 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 B every week in interest. Right now, between provincial and federal, it's 50 billion, almost $1 billion a week. So within 2 or 3 months, it will be $1 billion a week taken out of your pocket and given to the big banks, big insurance companies, big corporations, and rich people who can loan money to governments. I keep tossing this out, but I don't know. People just don't seem to care. You wonder why we're short of money for health care. Well, there's $1 billion a week. Be awful nice to be able to hire nurses with that. Shields, up there in Pakenham, talking about money. One good way to save money when you're in retail is to locate in a spot where your costs of operation are not that high. And in Pakenham, the rents are a little bit lower, etc. And they pass those savings on to you. You don't believe me? Check out shields.ca, SCHEELS.ca. No matter what appliance you're in the market for, that website's going to show you. We'll show you all the appliances that are available in the colors, the designs, the styles, the brands, the breeds, or whatever it is, and the price and the savings. They're good folks. They're honest folks. In all probability, they will have exactly what you want in stock, have it in your house 2-3 days. Shields.ca. Give them a chance, folks. You know what? If you can spend locally, why would you give it to China? To China. More text coming in.
Melanie just said her neighbor is in his garage listening to the show. She walked outside and could hear Lowell. That's fantastic.
Got very smart neighbors.
Right? Ken, yeah, you just moved to that neighborhood too. Good choice. Ken says, is that amount for federal government debt only or total national debt, including the provinces, etc.?
I've already said that several times. The $50 billion a year in interest is what we pay combined, the province's debt and the federal debt.
Okay.
I mean, the federal debt's now $1.2 trillion. Combine the interest payments there with the interest payments in the provinces. What I'm saying is that we Canadians, we're all Canadians here, we Canadians are now paying, last year, almost $1 billion a year in interest. When the interest rates go up in the next month or two, it will be at least $1 billion every single week. Taxpayers' money, provincial and federal, whatever it is. There's only one source of money, folks. Look in the mirror, you'll see it. Go ahead, John.
Ken says, Roger that. Thanks for the clarification. Peter says, money that can be used in healthcare, defense, etc., opposed to paying the lenders. But leftists don't give a flying fox fart. Carolyn says, I'm disappointed in O'Toole. I thought I could give him the benefit of the doubt, but more and more I can't. And with the NDP, you'd think they would have learned their lesson the last term. Say goodbye to the NDP. Regarding the LRT, Peter posted this earlier saying all these new LRTs in every Liberal ran city in Ontario have been a total crap show. David says the Carp Mountain does supply power to the electrical grid, burning methane gas for years. And
You know what? That's a very good point. And largely because I raise so much stink about it. I mean, you know what? One of the worst things, they have a red light right by the Carp Mountain. And back in the days when it stank, I mean, you would hope and pray that that you not hit the red light in front of the Carp Mountain, because by the time you know the red light cleared, there were tears in your eyes.
I know it.
You know what? If you had to stop twice, like going to work and coming home at the red light, your wife, as soon as you stepped in the house, she said, "Take your clothes off, throw them in the washer, and take a shower." It was the stink was that bad. So finally, I raised, and others raised hell as well, and they tapped a lot of the methane out. By the way, um, one of the next targets, in fact, the target is already there from these eco fascists, these eco wackos, are going to be cows. Already you can see it starting. You know, they're talking. You know what they're talking about now? A tax on meat, as if $28 for a steak is not enough. Now and you know what? It's going to happen. Apparently in Europe very soon there's going to be a tax on meat, and you know that Justin Trudeau and Jagmeet Singh, between the two of them, cannot resist that. The you know it's the attack. First of all, what was it? The attack was on the seal hunt. Remember that?
Mhm.
It was a terrible thing with the seal hunt. And then let me see. We had um, we had the seal hunt. Then we had acid rain. Remember the big panic
Oh,
over that?
right.
The ozone layer. They attacked that. That was we were all going to grow two brains. Um, then it was the oil sands. Then it was the pipelines. Then it was CO2. Then it was cars. Then it was dairy. Oh, the attack is still underway in the dairy industry. Now it's just cows in general. What's next? You know what I suspect next? Capitalism itself. Because I think that in many ways, that's the real intent of the left, to destroy the capitalist system, free enterprise. I, um, I I just shudder to think what comes next. John, we got some more texts coming in, I hope.
Yes, we do. Peter says Aaron has no balls on this and every other damn issue. Ann says Trudeau is strutting around like a freaking peacock. Drives me mad. Zero opposition. Hazel agrees with you 100%. Lowell, I'm not sure which of your comments she's referring to. That was posted earlier, but there you go. You've got her support. Nina says O'Toole is doing a cabinet shuffle. Maybe the unvaccinated will be shuffled out. Let's wait and see. Lisa says, sick of conservatives being too nice. And she adds, people don't trust O'Toole. He just burst into the scene from nowhere and he demonstrated weak leadership. And she also chimes in to say, thank you, all the Trudeau lovers who put us all in this shit for another 4 years and probably 4 after that. Then Justin Jr. will run when he's of age. The conservatives need to stop being milk sops. Max Bernier needs to stop this crap and unite the right like when Harper was voted in.
Yeah, I really worry for this country. The terrible debt, and as I say, there's going to be this formal union between the NDP and the Liberals, which is going to take, of course, the Liberals even further left. What I am really worried about is an out-and-out attack on the capitalist system, the system that has served mankind so well. I mean, you know, you think, oh, they're not going to do. Well, they are doing that. I mean, what do you think the attack in Alberta is? There is no more capitalist province in all of Canada than the province of Alberta, and I think that that is a large part the reason for so much hate from Eastern Canada towards Alberta. They are very entrepreneurial, or have been, and very capitalist. The fact that much of their money comes from the oil industry, but one of the things that always really drives me crazy is the shut down the oil industry. That's what they're saying. I mean, Trudeau would love to shut it down tomorrow, and tied in with so would Sig, and between the two of them, you can be sure they'll have it shut down very soon. But to be replaced by what? This is what these people don't seem to understand. We're not going to take all the gasoline-driven automobiles, the millions and millions off the road tomorrow, and replace them with electrical vehicles. First of all, the grid wouldn't allow it. We don't have enough electricity to supply it. So before we start talking about, closing down the fossil fuel industry, et cetera, we better figure out if we're going to have only electrical cars sold in this country in the next 8 or 9 years, we better figure out where we're going to get the power from and how we're going to get the power into our homes, where it'll be plugged in. We haven't figured, they're not dealing with that at all. So what they are really saying when they're shutting down fossil is that they are going to replace Canadian fuel, Canadian oil, Canadian gas. Don't forget that we're talking natural gas as well as oil, right? Okay, they're tied together. So what they're saying is they're going to replace Canadian oil and gas with foreign oil and gas. The assumption apparently being that foreign oil and gas is cleaner somehow than Canadian, which is an outrageous lie. But one of the problems here, I don't think that the Canadian oil industry has done enough to boast about the manner in which it has cleaned up its act. They tell us today, and I believe them, and there's a good deal of research to prove this, that today the Canadian oil and gas industry is the cleanest of all the oil and gas industries in the world. That there is none that is cleaner, that has fewer emissions coming from it, that does more to repair the land after it's been mined, et cetera, than the Canadian oil and gas industry. But I don't think it's sold that message long enough. One of the problems, of course, is that so much money is coming in from the United States oil industry, which doesn't want the Canadian competition. And I'm not the only one who mentioned this. Here is Joe Biden, supposedly the great friend of Canada, begging Russia and Saudi Arabia, OPEC, to increase oil production. He's begging them to increase oil production while he shut down a chance of getting far more oil from Canada. So even Joe Biden, our great Democratic American friend, he doesn't want Canadian oil and gas. He would prefer Russian and Saudi Arabia. It just beats the bejabbers out of me. Right out of time here. I want to thank you all very much. Just please keep in mind, folks, that sooner or later, the LRT will be back out there begging for passengers. Tomorrow, I'm going to ask you if you think you'll be one of those passengers. I doubt that I will. Back tomorrow. Thank you all.
The Lowell Green Show is seen and heard live around the world at 2 p.m. Eastern. Connect with us online at blasttheradio.com/Lowell Green. Can't join us live? Download the Lowell Green podcast. Available on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Ask your smart speaker to play the Lowell Green podcast. This is a production of blasttheradio.com.